Hi everyone, I'm Robert Mutevi, Senior Agent at Old Mutual Investment Group. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the Unit Trust Fund. This is something that is making waves out there in the industry, on our lips, in the corporate world, in the informal sector, etc. The Unit Trust Fund is something that will help you make money out of your money. You look at it like a bank account, for example. The way you have a bank account, you get money and you put it on your bank account, and then they'll have it in custody. And then when you need access to your money, you can take it out. The only difference here is that while your money is seated on a unit trust fund, it is actually adding value. It is making money for you on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on an annual basis. So you're able to see value for your money all the way. The unit trust fund is well regulated. Very important to understand how regulated. Any financial product that you are going to get into, be it not the unit trust fund or any other product you've heard about, think about the regulator. They have to be thoroughly regulated because money is difficult to manage and handle. The unit trust fund is well regulated. The unit trust fund is regulated by the Bank of Uganda, and on their behalf, we're being supervised by the Capital Markets Authority. That's the immediate supervisor on behalf of the Bank of Uganda. And we play by the rules set by the UBRA, or the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. Now, it's composed of a few layers. You've got us, the fund manager, for example, in this case, Old Mutual Investment Group, and a few others as you might establish. Their role is to manage your money. Once your money is with us, it's actually not in Old Mutual's hands. It is kept in hands of another layer called the custodian. Now, for our UGX, the custodian is Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank is a tier 1 bank. No problem at all. They are the ones that are qualified to keep our money because Old Mutual is an investment organization. We are not a banking institution. So because your money is a lot of money, it is in the hands of that person that can manage and is qualified to manage it while in custody. So in that case, it's Standard Chartered Bank. For the dollar unit trust, by the way, we have the UGX unit trust and the dollar unit trust. I'll be breaking down those as we go down the lane. But for the dollar unit trust, it is a separate custodian. In that case, it is Stanbic Bank that keeps our money in the dollar unit trust. The other layer about the unit trust is the board of trustees. The board of trustees of the custodian. The custodian is overseen by the board of trustees of Standard Chartered Bank. The job of the board of trustees is to ensure that the custodian is playing by the rules. Very important. If you bring your money, at the moment, we're at the tune of 1,300 billion, and I think it's increasing. That's a lot of money, and it deserves to have plenty of eyes and safeguards in place to make sure that it is held to the set guidelines. And the board of trustees is to ensure that the custodian is playing by the rules. That money, while in the unit trust fund, in custody, is held on a segregated bank account. This is important to understand because people keep asking me, how risky is our money? The exposure to risks is low because of the nature of custodianship. If this money is in custody, it's not on an ordinary bank account where it's subject to be lent out, for example, to be loaned out to creditors. No, it is on a separate, segregated bank account, which is important to note, meaning it minimizes risks like loaning it out to people and they default to pay back. It is only accessible by one person, and that one person is the fund manager. Old Mutual gets in there and takes out an amount, say 100 billion, and goes to invest it in the market, makes a profit on your behalf, comes back on your portal and gives you a profit, and then go back again to custody. The other layer is the auditor. We are being audited. The job of the auditors is to make sure that everybody here, the fund manager, the custodian, the board of trustees, are all playing by the rules set by the regulator. And like I say, our regulator is the Capital Markets Authority. By the way, I want to let you know that the Capital Markets Authority rewarded or awarded Old Mutual Investment Group, the organization I work for as a senior insurance agent, they awarded them with a title or an award of Best Fund Manager of the year for this third time in a row. And I'm proud to be associated with that because we've been able to consistently offer excellent service to the client, which I think it's a good thing to in terms of establishing trust and making you feeling at peace, because this is money and you want to see if there's a track record of good performance, of good consistent performance of the service provider who is going to get your billions of money. And in this case, I'm happy that Old Mutual Investment Group has consistently been performing at a higher standard to the level of being recognized by the Capital Markets Authority, and that's why they rewarded us with the Best Fund Manager Award on June 13th. So that's how the regulator is. Now, how do you make a profit from the interest fund? There's an interest. Why? When you bring your money with us, we go in the market and invest it. And we invest it in different portfolios. I'll be breaking them down as we go down the road. But just know that the nature of investments are such that we can liquidate and allow the client access their money as and when the client needs access to their money. So your hands are not being tied. When you need access to your money in the Unit Trust Fund, the Unit Trust Fund will allow you liquidity. Let me give you an example. I had a client of mine who had around 300 million. And she was torn between buying bonds, for example, building rentals, and starting a unit trust. These are all very good products. Bonds are very good products. I'll be talking about them in future. Rentals are very good products in their own right. And the unit trust fund. However, all three are different in the way they work, especially in how they return. The key was, how often can I get access to my money without having any strings attached? And amongst all the products we just talked about, the Unit Trust Fund is the sole product, is the sole financial tool that allow you liquidity as and when you need. The client of mine who had 300 million at some point got a problem. Her child, unfortunately, was diagnosed with an illness, and we needed to fly the child out of the country into India. What do? Do you sell your asset? Because you can't. Because it's not easy. You don't have buyers readily available. If you have a bond, very good product. I love bonds. But if you have bond and that's the only thing you're having, are you going to just stop it? Yes, you can. But it has ramifications, for example. You can lose out. So it's not easy as you think it can be. How can you get liquidity easily without having strings attached? Because in the bonds, liquidity comes in every 6 months. But like I said, you can liquidate, you can close the bonds, you can opt out anytime. Although that can come at a loss sometimes. But the Unit Trust Fund can come in handy in moments like this. When you need liquidity on a daily basis, you're running construction, that money coming in from your reserves as an income can do something. If you're in a situation like my client who had 300 million and got a child who was diagnosed by an illness and she needed liquidity, I think she needed about 80 million, I remember in the conversation I had with her. She needed 80 million immediately to fly the child out to India. You don't sell your car. You don't sell your apartments. It's not fashionable or advisable to stop your bond. Because you took it out because you wanted to make it earn from you. And when you stop it sometimes, you're stopping earning. But when you have a unit trust fund added to the portfolio as well, it comes in hand at that moment. And that's what she did. She put in a request for 80 million. It was given in under 24 hours. And that's what happens. When you need access to your money, the unit trust fund, You'll get it in under 24 hours. And I'm happy that Old Mikio, at least in the last AGM I attended, they're considering, I hope they do it very quickly, of bringing down the turnaround time even farther down to 4 hours. And I'll let you know whenever that happens. But currently, when you need your money in the interest fund, you can get it in under 24 hours. And that's what she did. She got 80 million from her money, liquid reserves. She was able to attend to a problem, and the remainder of the money continued to earn as normal. That means she was not only asset rich but cash poor. She was asset rich in liquid assets, but also cash rich. Very important. It means that as an investor, you are having all layers covered. You've put your money, you split your portfolio very, very wisely and covered all angles to where the money is supposed to be. So that's how the interest fund can be able to help you in a nutshell. There's no strings attached at the moment. We don't have taxes. It's not being taxed because by law, we're tax exempt. I pray that that continues. Of course, as UAP, we pay tax indirectly through through other means. We operate very close. They pay workers. I get paid and I get taxed on my salary. But as a product, it doesn't get taxed, and that I think is important as a client to understand, or someone who's planning to come on board, that any interest you're going to make, at least at the moment, and for the past over 10 years, it has not been taxed at least. Lastly, on the highlight of the interest fund, you can choose to opt out, like I said, anytime you need. And I think this is important. There's so many products that locks you in, and there's a reason for them. I'm not saying they're bad products, but for the interest fund, you have the right, if you feel that what is happening is not working for you, if you feel that you can make more elsewhere at some point, it doesn't lock you in. You can opt out and clear your account to zero at no cost at any time. If you're a circle holding money on an account somewhere in an avenue that doesn't add value, that was okay in 1962. It was acceptable in 1965 after independence. It's no longer acceptable, ladies and gentlemen, in 2025. Times have changed. Keep that money in the hands of fund managers, and I'll be happy to have you on board and get that money available to us so that we can add much needed value on a daily basis, monthly basis, weekly, and on an annual basis. I'm going to talk lastly about the interest. The interest is compounding and floating. That's important. Two important aspects about the interest. It's compounding, but also floating. What is a compounding interest? A compounding interest is an interest that also makes interest. I'll compare with the bank. If you went to the bank and got a fixed deposit account, they will give you what we call a simple interest. If $1 million was going to make you 10,000 shillings every month for the entirety of the fixing period, it will be 10,000 made every month throughout the period. But with the unit trust, under compounding element, if 1 million made you 10,000 the previous month, interest on the following month will be put on 1 million and what was made out of that the previous month. So it keeps on growing and accumulating. And I beseech you, once you use this product, try as much as you can to let it be so that you can allow the money to grow, because the interest is not just sitting. It also makes interest, which I think is smart. For those people that are having money lying around, it's smart to use that interest, that compounding. Compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, by the way. It's such a magic thing. You don't know how much magic is in compounding. If you just let your money, if you got $1 million, make money for you, after a year, you'll be amazed how much money you can make out of that, because it's increasing on a daily basis. So it's at the moment, on average, annually it's around 11.5%, but the interest floats depending on which unit trust again you're in. But on average, interest is 11.5% per annum. That is divided by 12 months to give you a monthly rate. Why? Because some clients might want to join a unit trust to hold funds there for a few weeks. I've got NGOs, I've got organizations that have had money sitting in reserves, but they need to add value in the meantime. But they don't intend to keep the money there for the whole year. How do they get their interest accounted for? By breaking this down on our end on a monthly basis. We just divide that 11.5% or whatever rate it is per annum by 12 months to give you a monthly rate, which is around 0.9% or almost 1%, depending on the annual rate. But what if a client doesn't intend to keep the money there for the whole month? We still break down that monthly rate into 30 days, 28 days, or 31 days, depending on the number of days in a month, so that we can give you the daily rate. At the moment, a data rate averagely will range around 0.03% every single day. So if you brought $1 million for today, it'll make you something like 300 shillings every day. You think it's not a lot of money until you discover how much that would make you if it's just sitting on an ordinary bank account. I'm not saying bank accounts are not good. Of course, they are good in their own right. But in terms of adding value, in this sense, this would be better. If that money was sitting in the pillow at home, it wouldn't be adding value. So that 300 every day is good value. If it's 10 million, it will be adding something like 3,000 every day. If it's 100 million, it will be adding something like 30,000 every day. If it's 1 billion, finally, it will be adding your organization about 300,000 every day. That's net. That's almost 10 million from 1 billion at the end of the month. Value added with no tax. You're sitting at home. You're not paying tax. You're not paying workers. You're not paying rent. You're not paying any single solitary tax or any expense on this money being managed on your behalf. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Unit Trust Fund. And that's how you can benefit from it. You feel free to reach out to me to get on board and get your Unit Trust Fund account opened right away. And if you're on board and you need help, you can still reach out to me by subscribing on our channel. You can like the video if you can. I will appreciate that immensely. You can also send me an email. You can click on the link on this video that will take you to my social media platform, my email addresses, and I'll be able to respond to you and be of help. I'll advise and see how best you can get on board and take on a product that will fit your need in this regard. Thank you very much.